another Action Addiction Clouds House conversation. And I'm delighted to say that joining me today is Tony Adams. Tony has been connected with Action Addiction Clouds House for some time. And Tony, welcome to the conversation. It's terrific that you're here. And I wondered if you could just say a bit about how you are managing your recovery, your day-to-day recovery routine.
Yeah, well, yeah, a day at a time. I, as the Americans say, got a few 24s under my belt, and yeah, as you mentioned before, Clouds House is definitely. It was right at the beginning of my journey. Without getting airy-fairy on you and talk about journeys and stuff, but it pretty much was. You know, January '96, I came to a family therapy weekend kind of session, and because I put my wife into treatment because it was all her fault and nothing to do with me, her drug of choice was crack cocaine, and mine was alcohol. So, you know, as long as I didn't pick up crack cocaine, I wasn't an addict. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and that was right at the start. And the start of that journey, I wasn't ready. I had to do another 8 months research, but it definitely, I walked in there and it sowed seeds. You know, I saw the 12 steps up on the board, and kind of didn't know, but they kind of, oh, what's that about? You know what I mean? It's actually made I can, to this day, 23 and a bit years later, can still remember those steps on the wall, thinking, what's that about? And, you know, and yeah, so, and then sat down with two of your workers. I think one's still working there, and she was calm, serene, and everything that I wasn't at the time, and pulled me to bits, and I was full of ego and low self-esteem. And the ego kicked in. I said, who are you? Type of thing. You know, I'm the bloody England captain. What are you talking to me for? You know, I saw my wife out. You know, the ego. But driving home, the old little crack in the armour kind of went, ooh, something might be up here. I might have game's up. So yeah, it's very partly started my journey, getting to my bottom in the August of that year, when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and threw the towel in. And I think your question was, how do I manage my day on a day-to-day basis at this moment in time? And you know, I've gone very back, Michael. I've gone very back to basics, to be honest with you. It feels a very much time. You know, I went into prison in 1990, nearly 30 years ago, 19th of December, because of this illness. And I clicked on. I had a lot of defensive mechanisms that made me close down. You know, and when I went into prison, I was a gym orderly, so I could get exercise. I was getting fed. I was reading. I kind of didn't have to feel, I didn't think. I was down the gym every minute of the day. And I kind of closed down. And you know, it's very similar that I used football in the first and alcohol in the second part of my life. I used, you know, these mechanisms without drink and without football, you know, to close down and not feel. And I very much feel that kind of clicks in for me today, to be honest. Okay. A lot of respect. I quite enjoyed prison because, you know, what I couldn't do was life outside. I couldn't do people, places, things and situations without booze or football inside me. You know what I mean? I couldn't do that. So prison for me was about that. I had to come out of prison, and I had 6 more years of hell, taking my disease into, you know, the jumping off point where, you know, I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want the pain anymore, but I didn't know how to kill myself. You know, I was left in that jumping on point, and the miracle happened. I surrendered, and I started to cry, and yeah, that was such a relief. But going back to your point is that I never, like I said, just for today, all those tools that I learned in early days about sponsorship, the steps, sharing, you know, getting my mouth open. It took me 6 months to get my mouth open. Now I can't shut up, Michael, so it might go on too long.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, Tony. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, all those kind of tools clicked in for me, you know, and I very much use them today. I'm going to,
So that was really important. You talked about back to basics. Can you say a bit more about what that really means for you?
Absolutely. It's about structure for me, structure, organization, always been kind of strong points in my character. With us addicts, we get into step 6 and 7 and we're out of kilts, whether anger's up here or anger's down there too much, we're doormats or this, and we have to achieve balance for me, and one thing that I've always been kind of neurotic about is organization and structure and blah, 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 which is quite a good character trait in this kind of environment.
So how are you doing that now, given what we all have to be self-isolated, and what are you actually doing for that structure?
Okay, well, meditation's always been massive in my recovery.
So meditation.
Prayer and meditation, I've done twice a day since I came in. There's a great book called Stretch and Surrender. It's a kind of part yoga, part affirmations. I get on my knees in the morning. I meditate. I do 20 minutes of TM now. It's actually developed over the years. Firstly, I was doing, breathing, in with the breaths. So always like time to take stock. And I think to reflect and make healthier decisions about the day. And that's what it's really done for me, that I respond and I don't react anymore. Well, how do I do that? I've got to be structured in my day. I wake up, I'm a very early riser, 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm awake, and I read. And it's usually a therapy book of some sort. At the moment, I'm reading Darren Brown, Happy. There's some great 12-step stuff in there. He's very philosophical. And it's just, I do about an hour reading. I get up 7 o'clock, 7:30, go down, have a nice breakfast, looking after yourself, good, eating well, eating clean, sleeping well. I've never had a problems in 23 years of sleeping. My head goes on the pillow nowadays and goes to sleep. And I was sharing last night an AA meeting that, I ain't had a wet bed for 23 years. It's, we're absolutely miracles, I'm very grateful for that. Sometimes we can get carried away because my life is so fantastic today. So get back to the structure of the day. Sorry, Michael. So I kind of, some meetings, I'm doing a meeting a day,
Okay, so can you tell what's your experience like of the online meetings that you're doing?
Well, I've set it up a Sporting Chance one on a Monday. I'm GSR of the Thursday Siren Sets meeting down my way, and I took that straight online. I've never been more engaged as a GSR. I don't think they quite. They think it's hilarious how kind of laid back and relaxed I am when I go to the meetings, physically go to the meetings on a Thursday as a GSR, and I'm like, it's okay, we'll get through somehow, what I mean? But I've had to be really kind of actually proactive with this one, and I had to because I know it's very important for me, because I want to walk around my garden and die, Michael. I believe that this illness wants us on our own and wants me in my head. And I've got to remember, my head got me into the rooms. You know what I mean? So I don't trust it. And I need people. And I don't like people, but I need them. So such is the paradox, So I get very proactive, and I give my sponsee a kick up the backside on Wednesday, because she was very, very, just sitting in her flat on her own all day long, not plugging into meetings, not speaking to people, you know what I mean? I said, look, this is a program of action. We have to take action in here, So I got straight on the Zoom meetings, found a kind of how to work it. We're muddling our way through, conted into group and told them this is the ID of the Zoom, the meeting, set it up. Jim, our secretary, does that. And then I started to explore, got really excited with this stuff, and started to explore my early days in recovery. When I came in, my first meeting was in Dawes Road in Fulham, and I thought, I can go back to catch up.
You popped around to the other meetings that you used to go to.
Exactly, and I set up a meeting in Azerbaijan in 2010, and it's like, oh my God, Scott's still there, and Yan, all these kind of people. It's like, oh God, this is brilliant. And I can go to American meetings if I want. And, but I've got the core meetings that I go to. Like I say, I've got this Sporting Chance one on a Monday that's that's actually been fantastic, and it kind of makes me wonder why we hadn't done it before, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Kind of aftercare, online, because we've got people from all around the globe now, that have gone through treatment, and a bit like yourself, Clouds, you come into the treatment, you create a bond, but then you go off into the whole new world out there, and you have to find your own way, your own meetings.
So have you had any experiences? There's been quite a lot of talk and in the press and some feedback about people interrupting meetings, like sort of, it's called bombing. Have you had any experience of that?
Yeah, my Thursday night meeting got bombed.
What was that like for you?
It made me uncomfortable. I closed the meeting down because I was the host. I closed it down straight away.
Yeah.
And the resolve of the AA people was quite magnificent and remarkable, because within 5 minutes we had the meeting back up and running and more secure, and I closed the meeting. I was just about to close the meeting. It was like literally 2 minutes into the meeting, and this guy, fuzzy face, started a couple of words, couple of insanities, and I just hit the off button type of stuff, and then set up a waiting room, set up a password, and made it a little bit more secure. Listen, they can get round all this stuff now, even but we've just made it a little bit more difficult for them, because we were always worried about the newcomer as well, because, I didn't want to make it too secure, secure that you can not allow in the newcomers to come to the meeting.
This is what I've heard. There's a balance between making it secure and at the same time, the most important person is the newcomer, and about them having, so there's that I don't know what you call it, it's difficulty about making it secure for the members who are there, but at the same time not excluding those newcomers, because they are the lifeblood of the fellowship.
Absolutely, and I think AA are looking at its guidelines in respect of Zoom meetings, and they're bringing out some healthy things that people can do. And for instance, we put up the AA phone line. Because the whole question of sponsorship as well, there's one girl on there, she's been in treatment for 3 months, and she's come out of rehab and gone straight into lockdown, and it's like incredibly difficult. No sponsor, no steps, no meeting, these people are really struggling out there, and we've got to make it secure. Listen, I give this argument all the time. When I was in my early days, and I went to a Wimbledon meeting, and a guy, it was very unpleasant. A guy rushed into the room and threatening to slash his wrists. This is a physical meeting, and at the time John C jumped on him and we got hold of him. But it's really disturbing, really disturbing, very much to being bombed. It was disturbing, and people reacted. One woman in particular, she shouted at the person. It frightened her, and it left me very uncomfortable. Luckily, I've still got which I've always done, one-to-one therapy. Whether it's now with my sponsor, it used to be with a therapist, and I've got that every Friday for an hour, and I took it into that. He gets everything. That he gets absolutely everything. So this happened on Thursday night. Straight on the Friday, I've got the one-to-one therapy where I can actually get all this stuff out and say, look, this happened.
Tony, I've been speaking to a number of people who talk about difficulties that they have in making connections on the online meetings, and then they get distracted. They look at the the bookcases or the curtains behind people, and their minds begin to wander. And what they talk about, they say it impacts on the spiritual experience that they have of the meeting. Have you experienced anything like that?
Sometimes, Michael, there's a balance in this as well. They look for the differences instead of the similarities. You know what I mean? You can actually look at things. And I very much, excuse me, in early days, sometimes when I didn't get my mouth open and I'm not connecting to the meetings, I got that feeling too. You've got to get in the middle of this program. You know what I mean? I went to an American meeting last night. It's how much you want it. Do you know what I mean? You can actually turn away and say, oh, the bookcase is not right, and this is not right, and I don't like that. I don't know what, we say in the rooms, go to another meeting, go and try another one that you do like. Open your mouth, start sharing, talk to the room, make yourself vulnerable, start talking to a sponsor, do the steps, you know what I mean? So it's the same old tools that I did really in my early day that I'm just kind of repeating now. It's been truer than ever in this situation where people have said to me, "Oh, not sure about that meeting. You know, that one got zoomed the other day," or you know, they keep jumping up and do the, you know, and we're a little bit, you know, a little bit finding our way with this anyway. You know, we're only 2-3 weeks into the lockdown, and remarkably, how we're online, we've got this kind of medium. And we can always find problems. I think you can always, if you want to. You know what I mean? You don't
I think that's lovely, because what the theme, what I'm getting from you is this commitment, and actually, which is what the program, as you said, you want to walk around your garden, you want to be on your own, you want to isolate. And the opposite of that is making the connections. And the challenge for every single member of the 12-step program is to make those connections, to make that effort, to make that commitment. I love what you said about the GSR. You're busier now than you had been, you know, with face to face. So it sounds like what you're modeling, what you're experiencing, is commitment to this program, and getting in there, opening your mouth, having a bit. It sounds like also having a bit of fun, because you're able to go to meetings, locations that you haven't been to for many, many days, and enjoying that connection that you are with people that you haven't seen for maybe years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm you know, I think it's the only way. It's the only way I know, Michael. You know, it's connection. You know, I've been around enough now. I know it's just for today. And once you've got that, AA's in my head and in my heart. You know what I mean? And once you've got it, you know, you actually have to give it away to keep it. You do really have to, and it is just for today. You know, it is just for today, Michael. And you know, I've never been plugged in more than I've ever been, to be honest with you, because I know I need it.
Okay, and I get that. And one of the I was going to ask, if what would you suggest for people who are in active addiction right now, who are out there and are in self-isolation, but they're in active addiction? What suggestions would you give to those people who are maybe looking to do something different?
Well, I don't know. I know my program. I'm working my program to the best of my ability. You know, I'm no expert in this field. I've just got 23 years of experience about not picking up a drink a day at a time. And it's gone far above that, you know, with the mental and the emotional serenity that I've got in my life today. So what would I advise another human being? The same that I do, whether we're in lockdown or not. You know what I mean? I got one this morning, came through to me. I'm having a shit time. The world's going, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I said, well, meetings saved my life. You know, AA saved my life. It sorted my addiction out. So ring the AA helpline. You know, they'll put you in touch with someone that'll take you to a Zoom meeting, and I'll see you online. See you there, and then it's down to you. And then you can hear this stuff, sponsorship, steps, sharing, you know, service, you know, or you can pick it up, read the first pages, 164 of the big book, get it online, get it sent to you, you know, give it a go. If they're asking it, their life's not working. If they're in active addiction, you know, it's not working, you know, and if they want to try another way, there is a solution. And the only solution that I know is AA for my addiction. It sorted me out. For a ex-drunk like me, this program has saved my life. So I would suggest it to another guy that's maybe drinking like I used to. So it's as simple as that for me today, you know, whether we're all in lockdown or not. And there's pluses and minuses for that, because I'm very much seeing it as a growth period for me emotionally, because I'm not using those tools. Sorry, I'm not using those techniques, them learned behaviors when I went into prison, you know, and I've not closed down, and I'm making myself vulnerable, and I get hurt today, and I have to make big decisions, you know, and I meditate, and I get, you know, it's a very different way of dealing with isolation. You know, it's a very different way. I'm not just kind of going, every day I'm on the treadmill. It's not, it's balanced. You know, I exercise every day. but I don't exercise for 7 hours, you know, and run myself into the ground. You know, I've had a knee replacement, so I can't do that anyway. But I'm on the bike, you know, I'm giving myself some exit, eating clean, looking after myself, you know, sleeping well, reading some good literature, you know, and in a period of growth. You know, I've cut down a few trees. All my books now are in alphabetical order, so I've got I'm not perfect. It's progress, not perfection. You know, my books are all kind of in categories, but I have to let that go.
So it sounds like, I mean, again, it sounds like commitment, balance, connection with the fellowship, and if you are in active addiction right now, it's to ask for help and to follow the suggestions within the 12-step program, and to keep everything a day at a time, have some fun, and importantly, to have this time as a period of emotional development and spiritual growth.
God, you summed that up, Michael. You just need to run that line, mate. That's all you need. You've done it. You've nailed it. All
right. Listen, Tony, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I really appreciate you giving this time for us and for this conversation today. Thank you very much.
God bless you, mate. Stay sober.
Thank you.